He was the actor or the second actor to don the cape of Superman and play the character in the 1950s, also playing soldiers, knights, and even heroes in many films and television programs throughout his career. His death is classed as one of the unsolved mysteries in Hollywood, and many people are trying to find out if it was a suicide or a homicide that killed him. It would be the start of a concept called the Curse of Superman due to the tragedy hitting this actor and even hitting actors who played the Man of Steel. This is the actor George Reeves, and this is his basic biography. Early life. George Reeves' real name was George Brewer and was born on the 5th of January 1914 in Iowa, USA. He lived with his mother and father in Illinois and would spend most of his younger years in Galesburg with his mother, as his father left them to marry another woman in the 1920s. Whilst his mother and himself lived together in in his younger years, he was still able to attend and even go to school, as well as looking after his mother at the same time. Later on, they would both move to California, with George living with his aunts alongside with his mother. Both managed to continue their careers and lives in that state. When George was growing up, or his mother and him spent some time in California, with his mother meeting his stepfather, Frank Besello, and they both would be married in the 1920s, as well as his birth father getting remarried in the same decade. His name changed from George Brewer to George Basello, and would be recognized by his stepfather as his own and his real father. George Basello, or George Reeves, would be spending most of his time knowing his father or stepfather for 15 years, whilst Frank, his real stepfather, would also leave the family. This meant he would need to grow up fast and look after his mother even more. George Basello, George Reeves, sorry, was able to attend junior school, junior college once he finished high school in the 1930s, and would learn to act plus sing whilst in education, which would help him to become an actor or learn about acting. He would study acting due to his interest in the subject, as well as helping him make ends meet by taking up odd jobs and even spending time with his mother to find a place for them to both live together. Acting career. George Reeves started to act and study as an actor at, at the Pasadena Play School in the 1930s. This is where he would learn to become a professional actor and would act on stage to many people who wanted to see the young George Reeves break into the acting scene with his charm and youth. Later on, he would start working in Hollywood, with making an appearance in the film Gone with the Wind in 1939, as a small role alongside Vivian Leigh and Clark Gable, who were heavyweight actors and actresses at the time. George Reeves continued to act well into the 1940s after Gone with the Wind being his first performance on the silver screen. He would make an appearance in westerns by playing Wild Bill in the Pony Express days in 1940, as well as Jesse James in The Kansian in 1943. It would be a start for the young George Reeves, but he would still need to work harder to become a big Hollywood star. He would be drafted into the army during the Second World War and would continue to act on stage to many troops, as well as fighting for his country. After the war, he still managed to act in more movies, which helped him land bigger roles. As his persona would be gained from the war, he would lead it would lead him to play more war heroes roles and even be a soldier on many movies on the silver screen. The 1950s would be his breakout year, and he would be recognized by playing people in Hollywood and outside of Hollywood. as George Reeves would spend most of his time on television in various appearances and still keeping his acting credits on the big screen. Playing the knight Sir Galahad in the movie Adventures of Sir Galahad in 1949 was one of his finest movies. Second Coming of Superman. In the 1950s, George Reeves was offered a role for a movie and TV series based on a comic book superhero that all kids love to read, and this was Superman. He won the role and donned the cape of the Man of Steel and managed to continue the role after Kirk Allen, who was the first actor to play the character. George Reeves would take the character and make it his own by appearing on the movie Superman and the Mole Men in 1951, starring himself with Phyllis Coates as Lois Lane. This would be a feature film. From the success of the film, George Reeves still played as Superman in The Adventures of Superman from 1951 to 1958, alongside Phyllis Coates, and being typecasted as Superman instead of being an action star within his previous film roles. The Superman role would be his greatest role and be his greatest downfall due to being typecasted that could not be stopped by him and even being known by new studios as well as him being a new star that would be Superman. Throughout the 1950s until his death, he would be classed as Superman and still gain fame from this character. He still acted in many films and television series in the same decade and would guest star in Love Lucy to make a guest appearance in various commercials at the same time, playing as the titular character. The world knew Reeves as Superman and not an actor who was able to take on other hero roles like Kirk Allen before him. He was the second coming of Superman. Personal life and final years. George Reeves only married once to Eleanora Needles from 1940 to 1950. They had no children and even not able to be remarried again due to having a string of affairs with women in Hollywood due to his young and charming looks. He once was romantically linked to Toni Mannix, the wife of Eddie Mannix. This would be considered a blow to George Reeves, as he and in some cases revealed that Eddie Mannix would be his killer during the time of his death due to having an affair with his wife, Toni Mannix. In his final years, George Reeves would still play as Superman and reprise his role in many occasions, even going around the world to perform to many audiences and having many people pretend to play as villains and have fun with George Reeves based on being a superhero. He spent time signing contracts with other studios from MGM to Disney based on more movie roles and television roles that were smaller than Superman. The final film role in the 1956 film from Disney was called Westward Ho! The Wagons, which was a Western film and would not be a working progress film with George Reeves trying to still distance himself from the Superman character, and this would lead him to depression and later on his death. Yet his final television role was Superman for the last time in I Love Lucy in 1957, starring alongside Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Legacy and death. George Reeves, the man who was the second coming of Superman and was able to play the character on the big screen and television, passed away on the 16th of June 1959 at the age of 45 in Los Angeles, California. At the height of his career, his death was a mystery that shook Hollywood due to being an unsolved mystery even till today, as no one has admitted if it was a murder or suicide that claimed the life of this talented actor from a rocky childhood. George's killer was not named. It was a murder, and prime suspects are believed to be Eddie Mannix or a hitman that was sent to kill him. If it was if it was a suicide, this would be caused by taking on the role of Superman and not being able to stop playing him. His legacy was different to other another actor who played Superman, Kirk Allen, as Kirk Allen was able to embrace playing the Man of Steel and wanted to carry on after the death of Reeves, but he was too old to continue the role. George Reeves would play Superman after his death via rerunning the series and even being able to appear in archived footage. Other actors would take on the role as Superman, with Christopher Reeves, not related, would become Superman after George Reeves, as this would shape the new Superman to copy some of the older Superman styles and performances. There has been countless movies and TV series explaining the life and death of this actor. In 2006 movie Hollywoodland, George Reeves would be played by by actor Ben Affleck and shine a light on a tragic life of George Reeves with perception of the curse of Superman based on his untimely death in 1959. I'm Suki Cookie and thank you for watching. If you would like to see more, please subscribe and watch more of my videos. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.